I'm going to give a brief demonstration on how to play the Chair the Fed game. So once you reach the first page, you can launch the game. Then it will start loading. This is the first page the students will see. You can click on your job and read what's expected of you. And what's going to happen is the you're acting as chair of the Federal Reserve, and you're going to set monetary policy by establishing the level of the federal funds rate. So you're just going to adjust the key short-term interest rate to keep the economy on track, as it says here. So you will have a plus and a minus button that will allow you to adjust the federal funds rate, and then you will have a go button, which will confirm that that change. What you're looking for, unemployment. You want to keep unemployment close to its natural rate of 5% and keep inflation near the Federal Reserve's 2% inflation target. You will get some headlines, breaking news that will have impact on the economy, and based on those headlines, you will make your monetary policy decisions. So let's play. So this is what it looks like. If you want to remember, look again at your job, you may. So you can go back to that tab. You can look at the frequently asked questions. There's some interesting websites to read. For example, how does the monetary policy set? Why isn't money supply part of the game? And why is the goal 2% of inflation and maybe not even 0%? And there's videos also that explain it really well if a student has an interest. So let's go play the simulation. So right now the federal funds rate is at 4%. You're the newly appointed chair. You face moderate inflation. It's at 2%, so it's not too bad because the target is 2%. Unemployment is a little low. We could even start by just keeping it at 4% and see what happens. So Fed keeps policy rate steady, the policymakers taking wait and see approach. What is happening? The inflation went a little higher. Unemployment is also decreasing a little bit. I've found out that sometimes you need to do a little bit of drastic decisions on the federal funds rate to accomplish something on this game. Like just lowering it 0.25 or 0.5% doesn't really work. And we really want to keep inflation under control. If we let inflation get too much out of control, you can't bring it back down, at least for this simulation. So I'm really going to go drastic, maybe go down to 2% and see what happens. Tight job market suggests more inflation ahead, so I really need to get a lot higher on the interest rate, not lower actually. That was a oops before. I was thinking of unemployment, but okay, let's see if we go to 6% and see if we can get that inflation under control. So unemployment's going lower again, and inflation's going higher. So maybe I'll go all the way to 8% and just be really drastic on my interest rate to see if I can curb inflation. So the housing market has crashed, which will not help, obviously, with the high interest rates, but I've brought inflation down a little bit. But now I have to go all the way down because I have a housing market crash, and it's probably going to slow down the economy. So I'm going to try and be drastic in reducing my interest rates again. Let's see, 250. What happens? So inflation rate is falling drastically. Unemployment is going up. If you look in here, you can also look at the curves. I'm going to go down all the way to 0.25%, which is really low. So home prices bottom out, but consumers start to recover some confidence. Inflation is still really low, so I'm going to maintain it. I mean, I can get to 0, but then we've gone into deflation. So because I made that little mistake at the beginning where I chose the wrong monetary policy, I've sort of encouraged these outcomes. But let's see if I can recover by keeping interest rates really low. And it's working. Inflation is rising. So I'm going to stay at 0%. I still need to keep an eye on unemployment. Unemployment is dangerously low. And so I really need to start increasing my interest rate to curb inflation that now is going up. So to fix one problem, I found myself in another one. So I'm going to go back to that 4%, see what happens. And see, once we get lose control of inflation, you really it really rapidly goes up. So I'm going to be drastic and see what happens at 7%. Inflation is still going up. See, you can notice the trade-off between inflation. So last time it worked when I went all the way up to 10%, which is really high. And it's not quite. But it says high real funds rate to slow growth, so this might help a little bit. And I only have 1 term left, and I suspect I will not be reelected. But inflation is going down and unemployment is going up a little bit. So I've not been reappointed. I did not do well. At this point, I can decide to print the page and save it so that I have the results. I can play the simulation again, and it'll just go right back to the initial screen. If you're halfway through the simulation like I did, and I made a mistake on the very first choice of interest rates, then you can even click start over. So if I choose, for example, I start going and look, interest rates are already climbing. And before I lowered, so if I raise them, but then kind of, I'm not happy with what's going on, then you can start over. I can do start over and just go back to the initial screen and have a fresh start again. And start from fresh. I'm a new chair and do everything all over. When you're done, if you want to, you can just close your browser. You can exit the game. Exiting the game, when you get to this screen, you can find some useful information. There's resources you can go read. What is the Fed? The economic ladder that gives you an economic analysis. Or as a teacher, you can go and explore classroom resources. And there's also some interesting videos that could interest the students too, to answer questions. How is the game different from the real world? Why does the Fed watch both inflation and unemployment? Is the Fed's goal to reach an unemployment rate of 0? And why isn't a zero inflation a good idea? This is a really good video where Dr. Glenn Rudbush explains why a zero inflation rate is not beneficial to the economy. So this is it. I hope you enjoy it.